Wow, first of all, wow. Yikes. Oh, and it even has a little chat. Oh, that's adorable. Okay. Okay, well, hello everyone and welcome. We had, I feel like I think all three streams we had some sort of issue. This time it's 100% Tigress's fault, and I hope that she watches this video. No, I'm kidding. But I had no idea what I was doing, but I managed to make it work, I think. So we're here, and we have exactly 0 viewers, so that's exciting. But how did someone? Okay, tell me this. How do we have 0 viewers and also someone commented? I think that Streamlabs doesn't understand, but that's okay. So anyway, I'm Caesar Flickerman, kind of, and then over is it? Nope, but it's not on my screen. Anyway, that's my husband, Seneca Crane. Welcome to our week 2 hangout. It seems that we have a lot more people in the audience tonight than normal, which is kind of funny because the chat has been pretty dead for the past few days, although today it blew up for various reasons. So how you feeling, Seneca? Oh my God. Okay, your your video or audio just like cut out. What'd you say? I'm trying to get to where I can like see Twitch and see the chat because I don't think Streamlabs is like, well, it's showing the chat. I guess that's fine. How many viewers we get will be a mystery. Yeah, well, that's part of it. I think there's also lore and the walking. What should we call her? What should we call her? What's a good descriptor for lore? Someone from the audience, help me out. The tribute. Sorry, Lorelai. I feel like she's like a walking nuke of drama. Oh, that's really good. That was nice. Well done. Although anytime people make puns, you cringe. You two-timing fool. Why don't we? Okay, so cheers first of all. Why don't we start with Lorelai? Let's talk about that. So first of all, people are turning on her pretty badly. The you sponsors are extremely unhappy with her, it seems. And part, I think her first strike was the two timing of Tiberius, whom we haven't heard from much lately. So and he hasn't joined the Barty. Yeah, he's been pretty which I mean with he's not a bard, he's a yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. So he's a fighter, but he does have a panache for performance, so you'd think he'd want to be part of the Barty. We'll get to the Barty later. I'm very excited about the Barty. Oh, that's sad. I understand. It's understandable though, and they're not like hiding it at all. So, can someone from the audience, just sort of like don't, if everyone could mute themselves right now, actually, just so I can see the mute button, if that's convenient. If not, then I understand. Great, thank you. Because then what I can do is when you unmute, it's sort of like a hand raise feature. Um, so like someone fill me in as to like I actually don't know about the two timing because again we I've been overwhelmed with the audience the interviews. So someone unmute and be willing to tell me what went down between Lorelai and Tiberius and the betrayal. Tell the story. I am looking for someone unmuting themselves. Everyone's like, oh God, don't call me. Wait, I have Salix. Question mark? Okay, Salix, I'm gonna move on. Ragnar, Lore. Okay. And how serious did that get? Why we have? Why do we gotta role play making out? Like, why do we gotta do this? Okay, so they were making out in the bedroom, and then Okay. So has Tiberius like okay, got it. Okay.
So Lorelai, so
Right.
Lorelai is properly a teen dystopian protagonist. Yes, in all the wrong ways.
Okay, this is an important question. Which one is PETA and which one is uh, Gale between Tiberius and Flower?
Oh man, I feel like they're so incomparable because they're both just caricatures of.
Right, but I think like Flower being I think we can all agree it seems that he's actually anti-capital, and if he is, then that would put him in the Gale camp, right?
Well, everyone is anti-capital in the Hunger Games.
Well, I mean, I think that like I think PETA just wants everyone to be happy. Like I think he just wants a good life.
Right. Yeah, Gale is more angrily
Yeah,
anti-capital.
cuz like okay, spoiler alert here in case you haven't watched the whole
Or
Hunger Games series.
violently anti-capital.
So spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the whole Hunger Games, but he actually doesn't he like lead the attack on District 13?
Not on District 13.
Oh, on the
Gale
Capitol from
Gale is
13.
like on the side of District 13 when
That's what I
Katniss
meant.
eventually turns on them. But
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, Gale gets Katniss's sister killed.
Oop, it's Gale's fault. Okay,
Yeah.
so we've established Flowers, Gale, Tiberius, PETA.
I don't know enough about Tiberius to say one way or the other, I think. I
Okay,
think
well,
we need to have more Tiberius lore to kind of to parse the two apart.
incorrect. I am correct. This is canon. Great. Okay. No,
No,
it's
we can
okay.
hear you.
Yes, we can hear you say. Let's go for it. Ah, okay. I thought you meant just mine, like favorite. Got it. Oh God.
You know what that sounds like to me? You know what that sounds like happened? And I have to look back and see whether this actually happened, but it sounds like while she was having that conversation with Tiberius, there was another conversation going on in her alliance chat, and they
Hmm.
were talking about getting Tiberius in on one of their groups, and then she changed her mind mid conversation while talking to Tiberius.
Oh man.
I'd have to confirm, but that's what that sounds like to me.
What kills me for me about her, the thing that I've noticed because didn't follow that story, is that she. What I have seen is like in the oh my God, what is it called? The Barty. She just like she's just so rude for no reason. Like she was just like who was it to? It was to Auggie? I think it was to Auggie. And she was like now's not the time, trust me. And I was like, "Damn. Like this is a social game."
Didn't Babette say something about her saying the adults are speaking to Yuka?
Yeah, so I haven't read up on that either. Anyone have like the tea there? What exactly went down there? Because I know about it. I don't know exactly what happened. And then also I will come to you. Sorry, audience member. I remember you saying something. Anyone have the Yuka lore drama tea? Yeah, if you could, just like it just helps me know that someone is like ready to talk. Um, yeah, I fucked up. I'm working. I'm getting. We're gonna get good at this. Yeah, no worries, no worries. I think whatever your heart makes you, whatever makes your heart happy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I like it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sure. We like that.
No, between her and Lore. So like apparently Lore kind of talked down to Uka and it essentially told her to not bother the adults while they were talking.
Let me pull this up. It is.
Well, while you're doing that, did you let me? No, Salix. Did you have the tea? Okay, got it. Okay, Misa, you have. It looks like you are unmuted. Do you have the tea? We can. Okay.
Yeah, so this was Babette interpreting Lorelai's words to Yuka. Uka, sorry.
Okay, so
Let
are
me
we?
switch.
Go ahead. What? No, I was talking to Seneca. So audience member, what do you did you were gonna say something? You said people were saying something? Mystery man. Scores good, but my Twitch is only broadcasting Caesar's audio. That seems like a problem. Great. What I love technical problems. This is my favorite thing in the world. Did y'all know
So,
that?
your screen capture is not capturing audio then.
Okay, what do I do?
Alright, 1 second.
That's probably that. Oh, there you go. Like what? Okay.
It's fine.
Okay. Oh, are we both? Oh yeah, we're both in here. Okay, so that should maybe perhaps be working. Okay, we're gonna run a test. Seneca's gonna say something, and then we're gonna see what the people on Twitch say.
This is me saying something.
Wow, that could have been more interesting. Okay, what do we got, Twitchers?
Can't all be gems.
Apparently we're stunners, so I'll take that compliment every day.
Broom and only broom.
Where did that come from?
You're not watching my stream, and you're the one on Twitch.
Oh, well, I am. It's just taking a while to come into Streamlabs.
Click watch stream on my little dots.
What? But why?
Maybe you can minimize it somehow, and so it's not just taking up your whole interface.
Okay. But I am also. Wait, I'm gonna mute it. Okay, great. Okay, how's that? Let's try that audio.
How's
Someone.
this?
Yeah, how's that audience member?
Yeah, that's probably what's happening. All right, 1 second.
Oh, God. This is what we get for not having Tigress with us. God, it's just really amazing. Wait, go back? Nope, that's not what we want. That's why. Do this one. Yep, it's different. Okay, we're gonna try this one and see what happens. Good thing I handle stress well.
How's
How's
this?
this? Can you hear me? Are you French? Are you angry?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, so someone else, if we could, someone could unmute for me just so I can call on you. I
Oh,
see
there we go. It
Jonathan.
works. All right, that's good.
We're doing great, guys.
Okay, just someone, anyone in the audience, just say something.
Bananas.
Ooh,
Something.
aw, it's the theme of our whole server. Okay, so if
Avocados.
we can just confirm,
Free Shavakadu.
audience member one, that worked.
Yes. Yeah, it looks
Hooray,
like
we
it's
did
all
it.
good
Okay.
now.
The watermelon.
Oh God. Okay. Okay. Well, to recap everyone on Twitch, apologies. Essentially, we've been talking about lore, obviously, as you know this, and now we're getting the tea. So we know that she kind of like got shady with Tiberius, and chose Gale over Peta for now, and now we're talking about Uka. We've decided it's Uka, and where
I'm
else?
now
I
seeing
forget.
that Uka specifically is mad at Lorelai.
Oh yeah, Uka's pissed. Yeah,
Yes.
apparently, and I quote, Lorelai is on Uka's quote shit list.
Yeah, and then here it says Flower made it better, but Laura still being a butthole, she is on the ship. Okay, yeah, okay. Maybe that's the same screenshot.
I love Uka so much. She's amazing.
Uka's definitely grown on me since her
I think it's her.
her evaluation.
Yeah. Oh,
Definitely.
okay. There's definitely evaluation, but I think it's interesting. I was telling this to Seneca, and I'll tell y'all this. It's so interesting because we've been so busy behind the scenes that I have had so little time to actually stay caught up. So I definitely am not at all caught up on the role playing. And so all I really have is like little bits from their tribute channel and then the interview. And so when I meet the tribute in the interview, it's genuinely the first time I'm actually meeting them, and that's super cool. And then I've slowly started getting some time to go through the role playing channels, and it's like getting a different feel because I got a feel for these characters. Like Lorelai is a really good example. Uka, Rowan. Trying to think of some others. Of course, Flower, but that was on purpose. And the role playing is so different, like not on stage, which is of course what you would expect and want. But I just think that's been a really cool experience.
My positive feelings about Rowan have only been reinforced by the evaluation. I'm now
Yeah.
fully Rowan.
Yeah, Rowan is adorable. I mean, it's funny because we ask them to not play small children, but the small children are the ones that are winning our hearts.
Lana increased her age. Did you see that?
So did Sophia.
Oh, sorry, not Lana. I get them mixed up because they look very similar. Kit.
Oh, okay, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
But
Um,
Sophia did as well. Go ahead.
I was gonna make a play on a joke you said earlier.
Okay.
You mentioned that you were making something lore by basically being I'm right.
Yes. Okay, I remember. It took me a while.
Uh, that sounds like something a fascist president would say.
Oof, yikes. Okay, okay, no
The
joke.
president is not in attendance.
So no joke though, for real. If we do end up having to change our like player characters because we're trying to avoid getting sued,
Yeah, that's
I've
a conversation we've had.
I've already decided that my character is going to be Caesar Snow,
I love it.
like president slash host. Yeah.
I'm sorry
Uh,
to unmute, but I love like a really good play on words. Could it not be Feezer Flickerman?
Yeah. But that's like I don't know. Cuz I
the
like the added connotation of being like the president because I want people scared.
No, I know.
uh,
I really enjoy play on words.
you could be the artist formerly known as Caesar Flickman.
Okay, I need to tell y'all I lost my fucking shit when in the season 2 start. No, it was in the hub. I saw something. It was like in the midst of we were getting like hundreds of new members, and a Caesaretta Flicker woman joined. I lost it, and I have a little teaser for you actually. In the hub, and I'm sorry, Seneca, that I'm giving this away. In the hub, we ran a test of the reaping ceremony just to like make sure that everything was working correctly. And I hope that Caesaretta is not watching this, but Caesaretta was like actually chosen in that like randomized pulling, and I was like, ah! And then of course she didn't make it in the actual reaping, but that's my whole story. I was just like, obviously I'm fangirling over Caesaretta because like, come on, that's amazing.
I am
Now
very
everyone's
sorry to disrupt stream to tell my dumb joke.
Yeah, no, it's no worries. Just like go ahead and mute for me. And what were you saying, Seneca?
now everyone's gonna be wondering if they were selected in the test run.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they can wonder. They've wondered a lot of things. They wondered how many people applied to the season, and the answer is like,
Question mark. Yes. N people applied.
right now we can confirm that at least 25 people applied. That's what I can confirm for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've covered the lore drama. That's been a big thing. What's funny is that yesterday, literally yesterday, we were going to stream, and one of the factors in me not streaming was like, do we have enough to talk about? It's only been a few days. And in the last 24 hours, I was like, okay, we definitely have enough to talk about. So there is lore. The Bardi. Okay, how are we feeling about the Bardi?
I'm gonna open the Barty.
Someone from the audience, and just make sure you do mute for me if you can, just so I can see that you're not trying to actually, I guess, raise your hand. Vreenak, I see your hand is up, question mark, or you're just muted, or unmuted? There we go.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, who would like to talk? Wait, was that, wait, I got the yes
Yeah.
wrong. Do you want to talk or not?
Yes.
Okay, go.
Um. So, so I know you were talking about like how you haven't been able to like read like a ton,
Mhm.
and so with the interviews, like you were kind of getting to meet them for the first time, and I was remembering, I was like, oh right, the recap, which is kind of like an open secret right now. But I was just kind of wondering because a lot has been going on, what people wanted us to focus the recap on, since I'm going to be mainly writing it.
Oh, that's a good open question. Okay, we'll pause the Barty question, and we're gonna go to
Yeah.
Vreenak's question here. Like, what if you were reading a recap? So there's definitely, it sounds like, I think Vreenak, I read that there's gonna be a pre-games recap, right?
Yes.
So
So what I'm at least planning on right now is to make one for the pregame, the bloodbath, and then do one for like the day to day,
oh, nice. So there are gonna be three
like in-game
pre-games
day.
ones. No, I see. Okay,
Um,
one pre-game one. Got it.
one pregame, one for the
Okay.
bloodbath, and then the day one, the day two, and so on.
Got it. Okay, so if you viewers, you're here and you have Vreenak, his rapt attention, who is going to be kind of controlling these. I say controlling. The word would be managing the recaps. What are you looking for, particularly in the pregame? We'll start there. What kind of like information would you want if you were not able to catch up and you just were kind of seeing what overall happened in the pregames? I'm looking for unmutes. It's a nice little system.
I'm thinking in the recap, it would be really swell if there was like any big changes in alliances, like if that was like made out, because like there's a lot of alliance channels and there's a lot of changes real fast in them.
Yeah, I think what I would want to know is like for each tribute before the game start, who their like 2 or 3 closest other tributes were, and then like if applicable, another tribute that they'd like did not get along with or had a rivalry with, right? So to establish like 2 or 3 positive connections and 1 negative connection.
Which, of course, my data science brain is like, wow, that'd be a really cool graph.
Yeah. And then just a little bit of context for like why all of those relationships matter or how they developed.
I think that's a separate issue, though, from the alliances specifically, because the alliances, to Zarsha's point, the should I call y'all? I'm gonna call you by your like role playing name. As Zarsha pointed out, how those shift over time, because they are shifting. Because it seems like early on, Lorelai had people that were literally talking about giving themselves for her, and now it seems that's much less likely to happen.
Yeah, typically in a like reality show wiki contestants page, you'll have in their like vitals block a list of the alliances they had been a part of and just like a really shorthand summary of those alliances. But then the main features on that contestants page would be like who they had relationships with and how those relationships evolved, and not necessarily bringing the like named alliances into it as much, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. Yes.
Yeah, it does, but I still think that the named alliances matter. Don't you think? Like,
some of them do.
I mean, to an extent, like, I mean,
like
you know,
second degree burn is a big thing, but a lot
second
of
degree
the alliances
burn.
not really that much of a factor yet.
What's
From a
another good one?
viewer's standpoint, I think honestly, like if they have 3 or more members, like that's when it's interesting. Even the ones that are named, like if they have only 2 members, it's like it's just a conversation between 2 of you, and I feel like it's not really going to affect gameplay. Whereas like when more minds become important, it's like conflicting opinions.
yeah, I get that. I think one thing that we've talked about in as the GMs, and I think we'll probably be enacting tonight, and if not, definitely tomorrow, we're gonna start asking tributes to. We're gonna give in to the audience and agree with you and say we're gonna ask the audience. I'm sorry, we're gonna ask the tributes to keep one-on-one conversations to DMs and just to post those screenshots rather than having separate alliance channels. Because if you have 24 times 24 is like, I guess 24 times 23. That's a lot of channels that are possible, and it's becoming, I think not becoming, it has long since been pretty overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I just need to pause. This is a big moment. It's our very first time laying eyes on the beautiful, wonderful, multi-talented skills of Mystery Audience Member 1, who's been with us, technically, since the beginning of Season 1.
Yep. I asked him to play, and he was like, no.
And then we were like, you could be a GM. He's like, okay. And then did nothing. But in the last week or two, has been coming around more and is very excited to help us out. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello. I watch things from the audience.
He is my bestie from back in Maryland. We have known each other for years at this point, which is really weird to say.
Oh my god, has been years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Audience member 1 is our ears on the ground.
Yeah, he's the snake in the grass, watching everyone.
He's got his fingers on the pulse of Panem.
Which I am very interested in Lorelai since the beginning.
How so? Tell me more.
He likes sorcerers.
That, but also I saw that Lorelai was very quickly getting in all of these alliances, many different ones, which is kind of, it can be a good thing knowing many people, but this is the Hunger Games, and so I'm very excited to see some element of betrayal.
There has to be. This season is gonna be way more backstabby than season 1 because there are just so many people aligned with each other.
I know Renak's excited about that.
What makes you say that?
Well, I am excited about it, having seen Alexander's exploits last season.
Oh my god, I can't believe that almost worked even.
Oh,
I
go ahead.
I loved that the Pythagorean theorem came into play at one point.
Oh yeah, that was gold. Genuinely. So good. And
Oh
it
my
really
god.
genuinely almost works. Like we in the audience, I mean, and I know I said this in the last stream, but we were watching and it really was like we were unsure as to who was going to win. It was wild. So real quick, I just want to mention Red Feline welcome, but if you could mute yourself just so I can know who is trying to talk, unless you're just like wanting to talk right now. Okay, I'm going to give you 3 seconds, and then I'm going to server mute. Okay.
Oops.
All
Okay.
right. Just nope, and that's muting for me. Server mute. Got it. If you do want to talk Red Feline, just message maybe audience member 1 who can keep an eye on that, perhaps? Question mark? Please?
Why don't we
He's ignoring
step
me.
through the
Keep an eye on things.
Wait, it's
the
Tigress. Wait, sorry, I have to interrupt. Tigress! Ah! We love you. Okay, go ahead.
Hi, I'm coming in to volunteer to keep an eye on things.
Thank you. That would mean a
amazing.
lot. Thank you. Okay, yeah, let's do it. So Seneca, take us away.
So scoring released a few days ago. Those of you who have not come through and done this yet
Hey,
know that
Scroll
this
up in your side thing. Pretty. Oh, well, yeah, just just for the hell of it. So we're not showing all of the alliance names.
what? Why?
Just in case. Thank you.
So anyone who hasn't come in here and done this yet, know that this is open to you. All you have to do is like vote people by clicking one of these emojis. And so what is going to happen before the scoring ceremony? We're going to close this out, and then at that time, the highest number of votes under any of these numbers would be that tribute score. So in this case, it would be 7 for Ketrov. And if there is a tie between two numbers, I think we're going to take the median of those two numbers, round it up. So just a quick reminder to do this. And I was thinking we would just step through what the current scores are, say what the current score is for each tribute. So for Ketchup, it's a 7 right now. And then we can talk about how that tribute has kind of evolved over the course of the pre-games. Just real briefly.
Yeah, I like that.
So what are our thoughts on Ketrov, who right now has a 7?
Well, of course, he's our he's our oh my god, what is it called? I keep forgetting this word. When you dress up as something.
Drag queen?
No. Well, also that.
Cosplayer?
Cosplay. Yes,
Yes.
he's our cosplay extraordinaire. They
The
are.
fact that there's not more like 12s for the fact that he cosplayed as his character multiple times. Lunacy. Can't believe it.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't fair. I think that like as Caesar, right? Like the audience was very uncomfortable with the fact that they kept bringing up their father and the kind of like anger from that. Oh, I see some scores changing. You see that? We're in real time. Um, and so I think Caesar, because I will be casting my votes. I think Caesar's gonna be not at a 12 here. I think Caesar's gonna be hesitant to help Ketrov because of the. I have to see the evaluation. I can't remember the evaluation runoff.
I think what we're seeing with Ketrov is that they are playing a storyline, but they're not doing as much showing what they're thinking, either in or out of game,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
We don't have a sense of what Ketrov thinks of too many of the other tributes,
Yeah.
We don't know what their strategy is going to be in terms of their social game. So we're really just relying on like what the premise of Ketrov's character that has been put forward.
Okay, I think I might be only able to see a portion of the people that are in the room and not everyone. But of those people, feel free to unmute. And in fact, just try not to talk over each other, and just you can unmute and talk, so that way we're not missing anyone.
We can open the forum now. Yeah.
Any thoughts on Katrov? I think is it Katrov, because he said that they said that their name is like short name is Kate, like K-E-T, but pronounced Kate. So it makes me wonder if it's Katrov. Anyway, any thoughts on Katrov or Ketrov? Looks like not.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like we have the storyline of the revenge on Kate's father, but we don't really have too much in the way of like what their plans are in the games.
Yeah.
I
All right.
do see them as sort of being almost a dark horse in this, though, because they've played the social game well enough that people aren't gonna be gunning for them.
That's true.
But this was a discussion we had earlier. There's diminishing returns on how active you are in terms of the role play. They've just kind of made themselves like they're popular. People like them. So even if they're not gathering a bunch of sponsor attention right now, I could totally see them going the way of Lane, for example, where they fly under the radar and then suddenly become a favorite.
Yeah, especially if once the game starts, there becomes a power alliance that people start to pull against, like last season.
There's also a lot of likability to the player that is behind Ketrov, and I think that there's a lot to be said there about their potential to pull sponsors later. Okay, cool. Let's talk Sophia.
So Sophia right now has a tie between 7 and 4.
Okay.
So if that were to stay the same, it would average and then round up, so it would be 6. And she is a tattoo artist from District 1. We have a little bit of the same thing we see with Kate, where she is very much playing her character background extraordinarily well. But I don't think that she's really taken as many steps into the social game as some of the other players have.
Yeah, I think that her game seems to be to double down on close connections rather than making a lot of really broad ones in the hopes of avoiding enemies. And along those lines, I think that she's done really well at that.
Yeah, and I think Ayla is a really good person for her to have like a close alliance with, because Ayla is at the center of a lot of the bigger groups. And so if Ayla is willing to protect her, then she gets a lot of the benefits without the potential complications of being involved with so many different tributes.
Yeah, that's true. And by the way, a note from Twitch, a user said another kind of a potential strike against Ketrov would be that Ketrov has expressed being doomed, and kind of that their god has said that they're not going to win the games. And it's hard, I think, for a sponsor to be excited about a tribute who doesn't believe they can win.
Very melodramatic, yes.
I will say, for me, real quick on Sophia, like in terms of likability, Sophia is like top tier for me, like S tier. Like there's like Rowan, Uka, and Sophia, I think, right now for me, and maybe Gary.
Mm-hmm.
Gary's underrated. I really love Gary.
Yeah. So it's like there is this distinction between like how likely the character is and like how likely you are to pull for them in the games.
Yeah.
And it's like if you're gonna pull for someone in the games, you have to have a sense of like what they're trying to do, and we don't know what Sophia is trying to do yet. Yeah.
That's a really good insight, I think. Okay, Gresh. Oh wait, sorry. Let's open up to the audience. Any other thoughts on Sophia? You can just unmute and chat.
I would say that I totally agree with what you guys have been saying about Sophia. They are someone who, when they do RP, they have an excellent ability to like connect with the audience and such. And I think that their connection to Ayla is going to help them once they get into the games. And I think people do like them enough where they'll be willing to help them out and not want to see them fail.
Yeah, and Sophia is remind me, she's a bard?
She is a bard. That's
Yes.
correct.
Right. So that, I mean, I think playing a bard guarantees you to make the like final half of the game almost because of how valuable you are in as a like a support character.
Yeah, people are gonna want her around once things break out for
Yeah,
sure.
like bards and clerics just have an innate amount of social capital to spend.
Very much so.
Okay, Gresh.
So Gresh has surprising number of or consolidation of votes around 7. So it looks likely he'll be a 7 at this point. He hasn't been as active as some of the other tributes, has he?
No, not as much. I think that it took Gresh a good while to get the interview started, but they've been fairly responsive there since. But I know that in the little bit of role playing that I've been able to kind of read through, I have not. I mean, like for example, the Bardi, I haven't seen any. I'm not saying that they're not there, but I haven't seen any sign of Gresh there. And you know, along those lines, it's actually really surprising. What are you what are you doing?
Oh, I was just checking.
Did you forget that we're watching your screen?
No.
Oh, okay.
Fine.
I think that nope, I lost it.
Did I distract you with my scrolling?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, I was gonna say along that line, it's surprising that it's a 7 and not lower. Actually, I think to some degree the voters are afraid of being being mean.
Yeah, I mean, if someone has not done anything yet to warrant a negative response, then yeah.
Any other thoughts on Gresh?
I think Feline has something to say.
Okay. Someone might need to unserver mute. Or I can do it. Give me just a second.
Testing.
We got it.
Okay.
Alright, forgive me, I gotta speak in code because I'm a spouse of a tribute, so I don't want them to know. But going on to that Greek tragedy of not wanting to sponsor somebody. Should my spouse leave the room real quick? I'm covering the screen. I swear they aren't seeing. I've been super careful about this to event this. I've avoided reading most things just because I don't want to risk it.
I had actually while you're handling the spouse thing.
Yeah, you're going.
I actually
She's
Get
giving
them
up
out
friend time.
I actually had several friends in season 1. I say I, but we did, and we had to be very careful, of course, because we're game makers.
All right. They're out of the way. So yeah, I'm married to Mo, and that is a baby crying.
Which
I'll
character
handle
is
that in
that?
a minute.
Nessie?
Mo is fudge.
Who?
What's the name?
Nessie,
Nessie?
Netchie.
Yes,
Oh,
the
yeah,
satyr.
okay, got it.
Anyhow, so you were talking about the who wants to sponsor a tribute that has a god that says they're doomed? And I'm like, that is classic Greek tragedy. Who doesn't dream about battling Greek tragedy right there? That's somebody I want to vote for. I want to see how long I can make that god struggle to try and make that happen. I mean, that's motivation right there for sponsorship in my mind.
That's a compelling argument.
Well, let's get some more points over there in Kate's.
Right.
In Kate's
I'm going
mold.
to mute myself and invite my spouse back in after I figure out why the baby's crying.
Okay, we wish you luck.
Me too. Thank you for allowing me to talk.
No, it's a great point. I like it, and I think that it seems that Kate has a lot of points on either side of the spectrum there. Okay, so we're gonna move on to Lana.
Yes, let's talk Lana. So
Oh, man.
Lana has 6 votes in 6 and 5 votes in 8, which means that if she were to get one more vote in 8, she would move to 7. So, Everyone keep that in mind. I think Lana is a very interesting character. She's clearly very divisive when it comes to the other tributes, but I am a fan of Lana personally, and I think that she has some interesting dynamics that make her a sympathetic choice to pull for from an outside perspective.
Yeah, I like her a lot. I think I like her more than definitely the other tributes. And I think the sponsors seem to like her as well. I think to your point actually, Seneca, you mentioned how being likable, a really core part of that is being like having a clear sense of direction, and I think that she's really got that.
She's very straightforward,
Yeah. I think
and she's not afraid to upset people.
yeah. And I think to some degree that's going to be an important skill. I mean, I think that's something, I was saying I think like Sophia and Lana are like almost opposite in that direction, where like and Kate to some degree as well, where some people are playing a game to try to not upset anyone, and Lana is being fiercely loyal to certain allies and then very comfortable with like creating that dichotomy.
I would say the opposite of Lana is actually Flower, but we can talk about that more when we get
Yeah.
to Flower.
Sure.
Because Flower is playing a very active social game, but I don't think it's really getting them anywhere.
Okay, we'll get to Flower.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Any other thoughts on Lana, real quick?
Hi, I'm not interrupting anybody, am I?
Nope.
Okay, great.
It's up to you.
Great. So I just want to real quick give props to Lana's player, frankly, for making a career tribute. There is no mechanical advantage to doing that.
Yeah.
And the other tributes hated her initially for that, because everybody wants to be a young adult protagonist, which I get, which I totally understand the impetus there. But all props to Lana for like, frankly, in my opinion, I'm a historian by training, so the more interesting choice for me is like, what does it look like to play a peacekeeper in the Hunger Games? Essentially, I think that's really really cool.
Yeah.
So I think
one of my favorites.
Yeah, so I think one criticism I have with how the Hunger Games was written was that the career tributes were like so extremely flawed, because if you look at it objectively, being someone in a wealthier district who is willing to train for their whole lives and volunteer to be in the games, and like they have better odds than the other tributes, but it's still like at best a 1 in 2 shot, right? Even if you're like Kato. So like that's a big sacrifice to take on, and I feel like those characters should have been more 3-dimensional.
Oh, for sure, they weren't people. They
Right.
were, they were
Yeah.
statues.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was definitely a risk to take, and I think that season, but because of it's weird because us audience members we are absolutely infatuated with the role playing of season 2, but I think that there's been a healthy amount of criticism about the direction of that role playing and it being very sappy and very cheesy and very predictable in some cases. And I think that Lana is one of the few that kind of bucked that trend and was willing to build a character that innately was not going to be like predictable and like easily likable right off the bat.
She's definitely like the foil of like what most of the powerful like Power Alliance players are doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Gramner. Or
Graham
Gary.
Norris, Gary, he's at a 10 right now, which is the highest we've seen so far in terms of the voting. So I think he's pretty universally well liked. He's got very few votes on the lower end of the spectrum and a lot more on the higher end. He is a half orc artificer from District 3.
Man, Gary's like goodbye messages, or I'm sorry, goodnight messages. Oof, they're just
It's
so
the little
good.
things.
I just love the role playing, and then the fact that he like got nervous around Caesar and the Barty and started like sitting and getting nervous, and he's like every best friend I've ever had, and I love him for it. Like he's just the best. I love Gary.
So it sounds like he's playing a social game, but he's playing a very uncomplicated one.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So he's just doing nice things for people. He's not asking too much, and he's not creating drama where there doesn't need to be any.
Yeah, and Gary is surprisingly strong, and his roles have been very good, generally speaking. I think Gary, like, putting the roles aside because those are random, I still think that Gary has a, like, I think Gary is going to last a long time. I could see Gary doing really well. Okay.
Yes, so he's an artificer and has +3 in both intelligence and strength. So yeah, I think
That's
he'll
wild.
be good in melee.
Yeah, he's gonna be good. Wait, real quick. Any other thoughts on Gary before we continue? Okay. All right, cool. Oh man, the man of the hour.
So this is an interesting outcome right now because he's got 7 votes
Oh
for
wow.
7, 6 votes for 12. If he were to get another vote in 12, that would mean that his vote would average out to a 10.
That's a big difference between 7 and
Wait,
10.
hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it would go to 10. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, he is also pretty well-rounded or universally well-liked,
Yeah.
like Gramnar.
Yeah, he's well liked. I think it was so fascinating. This Tiberius is a really good example, and this is something I said in chat today in the viewer lounge. I'm so happy that the interviews have not just been fun to read, but that we have tributes studying them and learning stuff about the characters that they did not know before about the other tributes, and then also that it changes the course of people's characters. So like his character up until that point had been fairly 2D, very like showmanship and dishonest, and I was able to pull out of that character some realness that gave a 3D view as to who he was. And even now for the sponsors, I think that was the turning point for a lot of people, where it went from someone who was just kind of like showboating and annoying to someone who was like tortured and like really trying hard. And it's so exciting to see the interviews actually making a difference. And I think for Tiberius, it made a huge difference.
Do you think he's earned any sponsors solely based on his association with Lorelai and the fact that she appears to be betraying him?
Oh, of course. Are you kidding me?
100%. I think everyone decided, you know what? I really like Tiberius now that Lore has done what she's done.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
It did my baby wrong.
we're pulling. We pull for an underdog even in a love story.
Would someone mind explaining
Always.
to me the Lore betraying Tiberius thing? Because I know that they had a moment.
So we
They
actually
had a moment, and she picked Flower instead.
Yeah, so we cover that in the chat or in the thing tonight already. So I just don't want to make us repeat for too many viewers. But in short, what happened is apparently that she came to his room and like sat on his lap, and then they made out, and then she kind of left his room and then never was romantic with him again and chose Flower.
SMH.
He's playing games.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, so
Kids
this was
these
like
days.
much earlier then. Okay.
It's a while back, yeah.
Okay.
But
Lore is very much like Glimmer from the actual Hunger Games.
yes.
I feel like.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, that's a good comparison.
Like if Glimmer were to get a little more background and depth, I feel like it would turn out to be a lot like Lorelai.
Yeah, totally. Okay, any other thoughts on Tiberius? Anyone want to fess up for voting him 12? Not fess up, but want to like claim that they voted him 12?
I absolutely gave him a 12 because we actually
I
made
did
the same
too.
character.
Yep.
my
I
character,
not my votes yet, but I will.
my character in the lounge and his character are actually incredibly similar by accident, so I absolutely gave him a 12 right away.
Nice.
Yeah.
We have a lot of 12 Tiberius 12 voters. What are you going to say, audience member?
I voted 12 for Tiberius because yeah, because mostly because of the Lorelai thing, and I'm excited to see how he handles that. So any advantage I can give him to that would be is my purpose.
Yeah, I think I really liked Tiberius right away.
because he was doing something very different, kind of the same thing as Lana. Of he stood out right away. He was doing something that maybe was not the smartest strategy, but it did make him stand out, and it was more unique than just the typical YA protagonist that we're seeing. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
But than the other tributes we're seeing this season.
And in a weird way, him not being as active in the last couple of days has meant that we haven't gotten tired of him like we have some of the
Yeah,
other tributes.
two things about that. I actually looked at the Lorelai Tiberius chat just to catch up, and it doesn't seem like it ever ended. Like it just kind of hangs there. They didn't ever leave it. And then I was also doing some dumb math this morning when I thought these were going to be averaged, and he actually had the second highest average score this morning.
So let me jump in here, because I think so. We're still. How should I say this and say it carefully? I think that the final scores are, and their how they're going to be calculated is still an open question. Seneca seems to be really convinced of one direction. I am not, and so I think we still need to have conversations about exactly what this looks like. I worry about there being too many 12s, for example, because people just like people. And we also like in canon, the game makers. I mean, they tell a story with these. So I don't know. We'll have a conversation. I think that averages may or may not still factor in, but it is interesting to know that Tiberius was second. Who was first in the averages?
Ayla, actually.
She has really
And if it helps doing the averages, nobody got above a 10. The highest was Ayla with a 9.25.
Yeah. And that's part of why we don't do a strict average as well. That's why we went to the other system. So it might be that we do a combination. I think there are a lot of solutions here, but the reason we didn't do an average is because just by the nature of an average, no one could ever possibly get
it'll be lower.
Yeah, the extreme.
Yeah, last season we did averages, and I think that the lowest was like in the 5s.
4. There were some 4s.
The highest was like 9. But yeah, it was like things really did get condensed into this.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to Pearl. Because we promised people an hour, and we're definitely going to go over that. So we'll just have to make sure we pace it.
A lot of these will go fast because I don't know that there's much to say about Pearl yet.
Yeah, I'm surprised that she has so many votes, and I'm surprised they're in the middle because, yeah, we know almost nothing about Pearl.
Well, yeah, it's probably why they're at 6s, because it's like she hasn't really shown up yet, right?
Yeah, I guess my default is going to be very low if I don't know someone. If they don't really show up, my default is not middle. My default is low, but maybe that's different for other people. Okay, any thoughts?
I did a not a spreadsheet, but like I am putting together like a chart of who's in whose alliances, and Pearl is the one of 2 who hasn't like any definitive connections with anybody. So like I'm not seeing her active anywhere. So she's not even on my radar.
So who's the other one? Pearl, and let me guess. Hold on,
Vargash.
Oh damn.
Oh,
Vargash.
That's all right. I was gonna say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Vargash. Yeah. Well, you would be right. Your guess would be excellent.
Yeah. So not much to say yet about Pearl and Vargash. Unfortunately, both from District 4.
Let's look at Vargash's. Let's see, votes. What is he? He has
7 for 4.
Oh, there we go. 4. Yeah, that makes more sense. I think a little bit.
Yeah.
Although I will say his the image of this like iguana like walking on stage with like the suit. I was like, that kind of got me. I was like, all right, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So if we get more out of these, then we'll have more to say next time. But for now, let's just skip over them.
Oh,
in the interest of time, yes.
Right in the middle. Look at all those votes right in the middle.
I kind of love Babette. I just love her picture.
Yeah, the picture is so good. I mean, it's very totally 100%.
Like I would pull for this person.
Yeah. But she hasn't had the biggest personality. She has aligned with the lizard folk, which we love. I think the audience is really starting to like the lizard folk.
She has made her opinion of Lorelai known. which is always a good selling point for a tribute hoping to earn sponsors.
At least in this moment, right? These things change day to day. What we don't want to do is like pile on, because who knows what'll change with the Lorelai and how the role playing changes every day. But yeah, I mean, certainly she is on a side that seems to be liked right now.
Yeah, so her votes are on the middle but lean higher, I think.
Yeah, a little bit. But that's partially because, is that Vreenak that voted 12 for everyone? No, it was Drew, wasn't it? I think it was
I
Drew.
have not voted yet.
It was Timmy.
Timmy.
Yeah,
Timmy voted 12
God
for
bless
everyone.
Timmy. We miss you.
Timmy's like, I hope everyone wins.
And I mean, some tributes have talked about that too, and it's funny because like, it's funny because my game master brain goes like, evil face no, but then also my like, uh, you know, co-founder of a game that is hosted on Discord also goes lol no. And I'm like, we're never gonna let that happen. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
All right. So she lives rent free in our heads
Oh
for the
God.
time being. But what can we say that we haven't already specifically about her scores? Because she is very divisive, but we're not seeing many scores in the lower end of here yet.
Or the higher end. I mean, it's funny that she is so divisive, but yet, and not even is she divisive? Are there people that love Lord? There might be, and I think there might be actually. But in any case, the scores are kind of bunched up.
Me, it's still pulling for her.
Yeah, the scores are bunched up right in the middle.
Yeah, they are.
What do y'all think, audience members? Well, why? What are you thinking?
I think for Lorelai, and specifically another shout out to Lorelai's player, because even if they're not the smartest, they are. No, not the person. God, fuck. Sorry.
No, please.
The character choices, even if the character choices are not the smartest, they are very strong.
Yes.
Clearly, Lorelai is the name on everybody's lips right now, so like something is going right.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah,
and that's true. It's like she's definitely making the pregame more entertaining than it would have been without her.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that there are only so many hazards out there. There are a lot more gifts than there are hazards. And it only takes having one dedicated sponsor with deep pockets that are like really loves Lorelai. And if you are the name that people think of, then like the chances of having that one sponsor that's helping you out is better. So it's not saying that it won't work. Even if it doesn't change at all in the coming days, it still could work.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got 3 votes for 10.
She does have enough notoriety as well that I think that it is very possible for her to turn the image around, especially post training grounds. I would not be surprised if she ends up being able to redeem herself a little bit.
Have a redemption arc.
Yeah, I think that people are just getting a little annoyed with like the YA novel approach, but I could totally see her turning that around and getting a little bloodthirsty, and I'm kind of hoping that's what happens.
I mean,
I think she will be bloodthirsty for sure. Yeah.
Look at that photo. I mean, she looks like a demon, what is that? Like a anti-hero? Not anti-hero.
I just see Rogue.
Yeah, that's Rogue. But one thing some other people and I were talking about earlier was a lot of people have said they will die for Lore, and Lore just kind of takes that. Like she doesn't say anything to it. She's not like, "Oh yeah, I'll die for you too." She's like, "Okay."
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
that's so
like,
sweet.
That's like someone like you're in a relationship and it's been like a month, and then they're like, "I love you," and you're like, "Aww." Bye.
I think you're really nice.
I would love me too. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Crazy. Oh, go ahead.
I will say real quick. I think the one thing too is why she's kind of like middle to high, right? Is people just don't know where like she lies with her loyalties because of that.
Yeah.
Everyone's
like
waiting to see what actually happens with her. Yeah.
Nobody else ?
Yeah.
So real quick, just a chat from Twitch. This is such a sweet thing to tell me. So what are we having for dinner?
What are you making me for dinner?
Oh, we didn't hear that one, by the way.
That sounds like some shit that I would say, honestly.
That's a sweet thing for you to say. What are you making me for dinner?
Exactly.
Okay,
That's my vibe right there.
So this, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. So this next character is the only one that I'm actually concerned about in terms of the player, because we have not heard from Cray in a very long time. Multiple tags, and they have what, roughly 24 hours to finish their interview. So Cray may turn into an NPC. How are we feeling? And why sevens?
I
And
was
a
gonna say
10?
back to my dumb math. Cray actually this morning was outscoring tributes like Babs, Kit, Yuka,
What?
Sophia, Flower, Ket, Ian, and Nessie or Nisi.
I
Yeah,
think it's the portrait.
The portrait's adorable, but like there's no character at all almost.
Portrait matters a whole lot.
Well, look at that face.
That is
Yeah, how
adorable.
you can't hate that face.
I can
Yeah,
try.
that's I think my favorite of all of the lizard folk portraits. And what's really cute about that one is it's actually based on their lizard from real life.
Oh, that's cute.
That's way
adorable.
better. But
That's
also,
even
better. Have you seen Yuka's new portrait? Because it's my gosh,
it is
Yeah,
so
that's great.
cute.
Yeah.
it's so
I
cute.
We'll get
freaked
there. We'll get
out.
there.
Is it in Uka's tribute channel?
We'll get there.
Yes.
Why don't we
Yes.
All right,
save
yeah.
it for-
We'll get to there when we talk about Yuka. Okay.
But real quick, I was just gonna say with Cray, like, it's wild that like the average is so high. And I just, I had a thought. Oh, come back. My memory is like a goldfish. It really is. Don't remember. Okay, it's gone. Bye. Okay, so the person, I don't remember who it was, that said that, I think Feline, that said that they were the spouse of this player. Well, how do we pronounce this name?
Nessie?
No, well, you're not the.
One moment, I'll ask.
What?
I will note that Nessie also goes by Fidget, but that has not come up very often.
Oh,
But that is
Aw.
Nessie's official nickname is Fidget.
And
I'm remembering that now.
And I do remember that the character
I
does
got it.
fidget a lot. Okay, what is it?
Nisi.
Nisi.
Perfectly acceptable.
All right,
That makes so much sense. Yes.
I wanted to make
okay.
sure I didn't screw that one up, because that would be embarrassing.
Well, you did forget the character's name for a bit.
So Nisi's a
Okay,
satyr.
Yeah, I did.
What'd you say?
I absolutely did forget the character's name. You're right.
So Nisi is a satyr rogue.
Mm-hmm.
They have got scores all around the middle.
It's funny that like even like getting away from the averaging to specifically avoid that phenomenon, we're still seeing a lot of votes toward the middle. We don't see extremes for the most part. So Nisi, it's funny because in the interview, they came on very dynamically, very personably, and I was like, bombshell, the audience, because I control the audience too, and I try to have them respond appropriately to the tribute, and I was like, man, the audience is gonna love them. But then they just kind of trailed off and didn't the responses sort of became ones where it was hard for me to like build off of, and so it became a little stilted for me. And then they seem to be a much more like reserved tribute, but we had a really meaningful moment in the Barty lounge. So yeah, I'm sort of like all over the place on Nisi.
So basically, a tribute that when they show up makes a big impact.
Yeah, but like
It's not always online.
well, it's not for me about that. I mean, yeah, they're not the most active, but I think it's more that like the character sometimes has energy and then sometimes doesn't. And it's sort of like waits for other tributes to engage with them. But when they do, it's like, Nisi's a really good role player.
Right.
What do y'all think about Nisi?
Speculative reason for the interview phenomenon.
Sure, go for it.
They were very dedicated to looking up. I mean, it's okay if I mention the Thieves' Cant, because everybody in here should know, right? All right.
Yes.
Yeah, they took and they did research on medieval thieves' cant.
Oh my
So they
gosh.
got absorbed into that world in the middle of the interview. And that's why that probably dipped there, is because they suddenly were very distracted because they're like, okay, I got to fit this in here. I got to plan out what I'm saying. I got to do it right.
And Senna,
But
and Tigris, by the way, if you're listening, I'm sure you are. We need to like figure that out after this chat actually, and make sure that we reward Nisi for that work, because I forgot that was the thing actually.
Yeah,
On it.
Nisi wanted to kind of use that as a way of prodding out other rogues from the selection of tributes to kind of identify themselves as a rogue, but then also figure out if anyone would come forward and be like, I get that.
Yeah. Were you gonna?
I also speak thieves' cant.
Were you gonna say, Senna?
I said I'm on it.
Thank you so much. That'd be awesome. I think we already kind of agreed on an approach. We just like forgot to enact it, I think.
I think it's just such a brilliant way of using that feature
Yeah,
too, because
totally.
that does not come up often when you're playing a rogue in just traditional D&D.
Yeah, and to do it in a way that like that every single other tribute's gonna be watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the use of create, just being able to read the features that your class has and being able to actually enact them. There's a lot of social features that I think that people forget exist.
Yeah.
So I got really excited when she was
Yeah.
looking at doing that.
Man, go ahead.
I wonder if we just go into all of the rogues tribute channels and say something to the effect of like, while
We've already solved it, and I don't want to get. Well, I guess they're gonna see it, but like we've already agreed on like what the approach is on the GM channel.
Good.
Yeah, sorry.
That's great. Thanks.
I was gonna mention about Flower here. Of course, we have a tie. Interestingly, he is very divisive in a classical sense. We have some middle, some very low, and then some very high. And Flower like pissed off, obviously pissed off the capital C here. But it's been an interesting performance overall. I'd say he's like, one of the bigger names in terms of.
Yeah, so what I was going to say about Flower in comparison to Lana is that Lana is very direct, but Flower, I feel like he's playing a very active social game, but he is just kind of like letting the wind take him wherever. He doesn't have like a direction of what his character's goals are or how he's going to achieve them, right? He's just kind of like, I want everyone to like me all the time, and then he gets carried away a lot, which leads people to not like him.
Do you think that's the case? Because I'm not so convinced that's the case. It seemed to me that his approach in the interview and then in the evaluation were so different that suggested that was not happenstance and that it was like a purposeful performance.
I do know that after the interview went live, several other tributes who were aligned with him at the time mentioned to each other that like they were going to talk some sense into Flower. So I know people got in his ear after he did that interview and before the evaluation. So I think that was what that prompted that change. I don't think it was like a necessarily an intentional decision on his part.
I am wondering if we're going to get sort of our first instance here of the fuck around and find out tribute, where they do genuinely try to overthrow the Capitol or kill like a GM or something like that. And they're going to realize that we have contingency plans in place to stop that. I'm kind of hoping he dies.
One does not just a level 1 character does not just challenge a level 20 character.
Exactly.
A joke that Theban and I were making when Flower first started being his little revolutionary self was like, you can be the main character of season 2. You cannot be the main character of the Hunger Games.
I think that's a really good point, is that like these are level 1 characters. They are not powerful, and we've made stat blocks. We're all level 20s. We will destroy you. But it is interesting because there tends to be at least a couple rebellious characters that we've seen in each season. And granted, I'm sure that in a dystopian society, there are going to be lots of people that are wanting to be rebellious. But I think it's a good point that, like, at the end of the day, you're done after your seasons, even if you're coming back as a mentor, etc. Like, your character is not your character isn't Katniss.
Yeah.
So I am wondering if as we go on, if that sort of rebellious spirit is going to potentially diminish when they realize, like, in the grand scheme of things, as we have more seasons, your character becomes less and less impactful on the sort of story and lore that we have surrounding these games, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But I wonder if people are going to start to become okay with a little bit of obscurity as these go on.
Yeah, I think that the story of Katniss has already been told, obviously, right? So if you want to stand out when playing this game, it behooves you can take elements of like a revolutionary mindset, right? And not everyone's going to be happy that they're having to do this, obviously. But you can take elements of that, but like tell your own story with it.
Yeah, I think that's really adept. And I think that the role playing and the lore the story, the world that we're building, the fun part about this game in particular are twofold. One, that like things that are in D&D just for role playing that may get overlooked a lot get like exaggerated here. They become really, really powerful and important. And like my appearance in the Barty channel is a really good example of that. Like his characters, a lot of what he did, a lot of what Caesar did, it was just role playing, but it was like it had a huge effect. And I think that we are just in the early stages of telling our story, and I think that's a big part of like I think those little role playing abilities from Hunger Games are going to be a big part of that. And I think to your point, the game is so young that people don't understand that. Like I think season 3's role playing is going to be a lot different than season 2's. That's all.
Yeah, for the first couple of seasons, things are going to get changed up a lot in between.
Okay, we should move on. Let's move on
Yep.
to Kit.
Kit, I think, is playing a relatively strong early social game. Obviously, she is like connected to Flower. They are siblings, and she also has expressed on multiple occasions her desire to protect Flower throughout the games, I believe.
Yeah, she has.
So that is a liability for her, for sure. But it has also brought her into some of the stronger power alliances, and not in a way that she is necessarily bound by them like some of the other ones are.
She's not like a founding member kind of thing.
Exactly.
Right. For me, in short, I feel about Kit generally where her score is, whereas like I think if I've had 24 interviews, 23 now, I guess, and I'm struggling to remember Kit's right off.
She's somewhat like Lana in that she will, she's very brusque, right? She's pretty narrowly focused on like just keeping Flower safe, which, right, is like probably not going to turn out well for her, but she might have to find her own path at some point. But I think that in terms of her individual characterization, it is somewhat similar to Lana, where it's like she knows what she's doing, she wants to survive, and she's not going to play games around like making that happen.
Right. Okay. Any other thoughts on Kit? Not Lit. Wow. I thought Lane, and then I don't know why I thought Lane.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how. I mean, of course, the chaotic side of me wants to see if their sibling relationship, ends up being their downfall, or at least her downfall. But because I think that Flower is a stronger character than Kit, and so as she's kind of being pulled around with him, like how are people gonna see that, and then is Flower gonna realize that, and he's probably gonna have to make some tough decisions potentially in the future.
Capital T, capital D, tough decisions. Okay, let's talk about Auggie.
He's got votes all over the board, but his leading vote is a 9 right now.
Yeah, Auggie is very serious. He's like polite. He plays a very like polite but distant and serious game, which I mean, I guess it really works for his character art.
In character, he did not make a good impression with Seneca.
Remind me?
He basically cut his evaluation short and was like, I want to pick this coin.
Oh yeah, he did the same thing to me. He did the same thing in his interview. He
Yep.
like in his tribute channel, he was freaking out about wanting to end it quickly, and I was like, okay. And then I think he just did he just walk off the stage? If I remember right, he might not have, but it was very very short. He just wanted to end it. That's a really bold move.
Well, maybe
May
he's.
I? Oh, sorry.
Go for it.
I was gonna say maybe he's role playing his Goliath kind of socialization. I'm not sure.
I don't think so. Freenak?
I think that just kind of like looking back, like thinking back to like what all the stuff that I've read on him, I think that he doesn't want to give too much away because I feel like he's afraid that if he starts, like, I guess interacting more, giving more away, people might figure out his whole like game of, no, he's like a wizard. And if he acts a little bit more simple, a little bit more distant, people might just kind of take him at his word because he cuts to the chase all the time.
And no one knows he's a wizard yet in game?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Interesting.
I understand that. I see that, but I just don't agree. I think that him rushing through both of those ceremonies was because strategically he wanted to make sure that he got the coin that he is assuming, and I'm not confirming or denying, but he is assuming is going to be like one of 6, so he can like be part of his alliance or something. It seemed to me that he was just trying to rush through so he could get a specific coin that he wanted.
I mean, that could be possible, but that's just how I read it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that it can be interpreted in a lot of different ways, for sure. Okay, I think we're ready for Jeannie. The role that she's playing in Barty is so different than like the Jeannie I met on stage, and I'm really confused about it.
So what did she do in Barty? Because right now, like, she is blowing everyone else out of the water with votes.
Yeah, that's wild. So she's just sort of like, well, maybe I'll leave that name out of it, but she's playing very very much like a host, like kind of telling the peacekeeper like organizers where to put the things and like bringing like food around to people and kind of being very like nervous and making sure everyone's having fun.
Wait, hold on.
So
Someone
she-
explain Barty to me real quick.
What? Oh, you're missing out. It's so
yes,
good.
I know I've been behind.
No, it's not that. It's not about being behind. You're just missing out. It's so good. They had the idea of having a kind of a party fest thing where people would come on and like kind of perform and dance and sing and have food and it's really fun to watch. Lots of good role playing there. But also they invited the government officials. And so I made a stop in there today, and that was a lot of fun. So it's a really cool opportunity to kind of like have the geos and the tributes like interact.
Oh, okay.
So she's a fighter, and with a really interesting build, she's gonna play tavern brawler, unarmed fighting. So, but during her evaluation, she spent the first 10 minutes putting on a set of armor while reading the Iliad. So I think that it definitely, in light of that, it makes sense that she would be so involved at the Barty.
So I think Jeannie, first of all, I need to just side note, Jeannie has the best tribute channel out there. I'm simping for Jeannie's
Oh,
tribute channels.
100%.
They're so good. And I think Jeannie is playing, and I hope this isn't too shady. Jeannie is playing the game that Lorelai thought she was going to play coming into the game. It's just it's a game that is likable, social, but also capable. It's a really good, well-rounded game. I think Jeannie is one of the favorites to win right now.
Oh, 100%. At least in my opinion.
Yeah, I will agree with that as Jenny's stylist. I will admit, coming in, I put all of my votes on Flower to be the winner. Like at the reaping, that was like my first thought. Flower has this, but after watching Jenny's development, I think they have a very good chance. Both the player and the character are both brilliant. Like they know what they're doing,
Yeah,
and
totally.
I feel like if they separate themselves a little bit from the main group and don't become a martyr for lore, I think Jenny has a wonderful chance of taking the whole thing.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think that Jeannie has any intention to be a martyr for lore.
Oh,
Like,
100%
I
no.
really hope not.
Yeah, I think she said that she will, but I think her actions indicate otherwise.
Yeah.
And then her alliance chat with Lana this morning was really interesting, and I was kind of hoping that she would kind of be playing both sides, but then she did kind of tell everybody in the main alliance what was going on with Lana.
I
Like,
saw
Yeah, I noticed
that.
that as
Yeah.
well, and I was concerned about that because I was like so excited about her and Lana
yeah,
linking arms together, and then when she started telling everybody in the second burn what was happening in the Lana chat, I was like, no.
yeah, we had
But
the exact same reaction.
I mean,
yeah,
it makes sense because Jenny's one of the ones I've been following closely for Archivist stuff. Jenny is very loyal, almost to a fault. Um, the they keep bringing up their siblings, their home, like the people that she's like interacted with from home, and she's created this like beautiful backstory. Um, and I've kind of noted a few bits of it here and there in my notes. But I think one of the reasons why Jenny is such a popular character is because um, they created or they kind of started this alliance with Ayla from the beginning just because they're both archivists out of character. And then they started bringing in other people that they were interacting with in the training grounds, and then they just expanded that like so quickly with characters that people liked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Breakneck speed.
Your things.
At breakneck speed.
Yeah.
Yes, they did expand very quickly.
And I think that like is it they? Okay, I'm just making sure. I think it's a her. I think it's she. Her to your point, Vernek, I think her alliance members are all pretty liked by sponsors, which of course gives her a boost.
Oh, but also like yeah, so her telling her alliance about what happened in her conversation with Lana does not necessarily mean that she is going to abandon Lana in the long run.
No, we'll see. So
agreed.
Ayla, just because I'm hitting that wall and it's it's been an hour and a half.
Yeah. We'll get through the rest of these quick.
Yes.
So
we don't have to rush.
Ayla's got really high scores. She's got a 9, but also several votes for above 9.
Yeah.
She has her connection with Sophia, which I am a fan of.
Same. I know that the government officials have been like whining about we've all been whining about like the shipping, but I would say that I'm actually like those are the two that I'm like okay you can be into each other, that's fine.
That one feels more earned.
Yeah, I agree. And it's not like overly cheesy. They just like seem fun together. Like even in the little bit that I saw of them in the party, like they interacted, but it wasn't so much that it was like I sit in your lap and I just I blush because you like it's not that at all, and I love that about them.
They're just cute.
Yeah. So why are we liking Ayla? Is it just because of the? It can't be just because of the relationship with Aspheria. What else are we thinking about Ayla?
I like the class choice as well. I think people were excited even before Ayla started talking.
Yeah, the moment that they mentioned like a death cleric.
Yeah, a grave cleric. Like everyone
Yeah.
is real amped about that.
Yeah, and the performance on stage was like really cool. The description is so weird, and I looked into some of the motivation behind her designs, and they're just like wild. I mean, she did her research. It's really
And
impressive.
she's also been teasing a lot of her backstory and roleplay with like the golden hair. And just the way that she presents herself as like this very timid, like social butterfly, I think is something that people really like.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think this is just a personal preference on my part, but I appreciate that her backstory is not brought up every 5 interactions. Like, she
Yeah.
explained it during her interview, but it's not like every 5 seconds we're hearing about her tragic backstory trademark.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, like it's kind of general, like, yeah, no, she just kind of secluded herself, and every now and then, like, an interaction happens where her hair turns golden, and it's like, oh, what is this?
All right, Clementine.
Clementine is in. I think her main alliance is with Lorelai and Ayla. Am I correct?
Yes, that is correct. Lorelai
And
and Ayla.
and
Oh, and Jenny.
specifically, and Jenny. Okay. So she is involved. Like they're all 4 together.
Sorta, kinda. I don't know. I don't remember if they're all in the exactly the same chat. I think that they're all like in the same chats, sort
Yeah.
of.
They're in the
but-
same universe of alliance
Yeah.
chats. Yes. So her scores are relatively middling.
Yeah. Yeah, Clementine I is another one that I can't place a lot from the interview right off.
I only really know about her association with the other 3
Right.
at this point.
So what are our thoughts on Clementine? Audience, fill us in.
As her stylist, I have been really excited with how she's been teasing out her backstory. I believe she had talked in her interview about how her mother had died. And she started in her. It's hard to read the tribute channels because of all the dice rolling going in there. So I
Yeah.
almost want us to like have the tributes all post a summary or something before we get into the games.
I would also
But she did
appreciate
have
that.
some dialogue in there where she's communicating with her patron, thinking that it is her mother, and she's slowly starting to realize it is not. And it's really cool. So I love that angle that she's taking with this warlock. I'm really excited to see how that works in the arena, but I'm also scared that she's allied with people that are not going to be. She seems to be almost outcasted in the alliance, and I worry that that's going to end up being bad for her pretty quickly.
Right.
So we didn't have as much of this in season 1. There were a few roles in the training grounds, but should we say for season 3, basically that the training grounds is a role-playing area, so just improv. Don't link your character sheets and start rolling
No,
things
I
yet.
just I
Or
no
you can
I
just
wait I
literally roll in D&D Beyond and use those instead of just
I
using Avray.
I hardcore disagree. Like 100% disagree. I think it's important that they roll. I think instead what we could do is have a thread in their tribute channel where they can
I
roll. agree. So that
Okay.
That
way,
would be a whole lot easier.
yeah, it's
Yes.
still public. Like that way, because I think it's super inventive what they're doing is it being able to like role play based off of the roles and stuff. I think that's great, and then be public so they can be held accountable to it. But I think putting them in a thread that way, it's easier to read just their tribute channel. I think that would
Okay.
work. Yeah. Okay, Becky. Aw, we love Becky.
Becky.
The
She's got a
cow.
7.
Moo.
She's got a 7. She's got all of her votes are other votes are higher than 7 though. She doesn't have any votes below 7.
So she's the younger sister. I'm right? Or is she the older one? No, she's the older one.
I don't know. What?
She is the older sister.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. She's the protector of Uka.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
And Uka is a rogue, but Becky.
It's so interesting to see the difference
Becky is a monk.
Okay.
in the role playing between the two.
Yes. Okay. She has started her evaluation. I do remember her having monk abilities.
Wow, it always scrolls for you for some reason.
A little bit.
Okay, what do we think of Becky?
I do like the interplay between her and Uka. I think that she's playing the big sister role really well.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. She's likable. She's they both of the District 10 tributes have a certain sass to them that I think is really adorable.
Yeah, I think they work really well together, like
Yeah.
RP wise.
Yeah.
I
Totally.
think that they're doing a good job of playing up their like alienness compared to
Yes.
everyone else. You
Yeah,
know, it's
yeah.
like they're kind of this pair of literal lizard people that like it gets in the way of them communicating with the rest of the tributes in the same way that they would conversate with each other, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It feels very natural between the two of them.
Mhm.
Someone from Twitch said the superior siblings. I think I can agree with that.
Oop.
Okay, let's move on to Uka. What do we got here?
Yuka's got decent scores. She's got 7 votes for 6, 6 votes for 10.
I'm surprised that there are so many votes for 6. I really like her a lot. She's the one with Bertha. She birthed Bertha, and now Bertha will be a mascot for the second Hunger Games, I think.
Oh, let's talk about her other portrait. Is that in her tribute channel?
Yes.
See all these channels I haven't read in a long time.
I
Is
presume
this
that's
it?
it.
No, it's at the bottom. There she is.
Oh, look at that.
Oh my god.
So adorable.
That's giving Cray a run for their money.
Damn, that is so good.
It's a very Geico gecko, I feel like.
But like even cuter.
Even cuter, yeah.
Oh, that's great. Okay, yeah. Uka's like way up my list. I love Uka. Big Uka Fistan. And like the moment in the evaluation, my God. Right? That was Uka? Am I crazy?
In Uka's
Am I wrong?
evaluation,
I think maybe I'm getting her confused.
I'm trying to remember what you're talking
Yeah, I
about.
might be wrong.
I think you might be talking about Rowan.
Okay. But I thought or maybe I'm thinking about her sister?
I'll talk about Rowan's moment and then we can decide if that's what you're thinking about.
No, I know Rowan's moment.
Okay.
I don't remember.
So Pollen also had a moment.
Yeah, let's talk Pollen.
Both Pollen and Rowan have had very interesting evaluations. So
She's at 12.
Pollen, I don't know that she talked to the other tributes about her specific spell selections. Do they know she's a druid? Because she made this thing about casting primal savagery and like making it seem really surprising that she did so, and I reacted as such from the sponsors.
Most don't know that she is a druid. I think she told one of her alliances today, so I think Babette knows now. But other than that, I think her and Yuka are the only two people that know.
Yes. Yeah, so she kind of goes berserk after like lighting all these dummies on fire, casting Earth Tremor, and then like I think Thyra had a similar moment in her evaluation season 1, but just like climbs on top of a dummy and then just like shreds it to pieces, and it was very primal and savage. So
I think in terms of like role playing, I think Pollen's valuation might be the best so far. I mean, it was really like, well, I mean, Rowan had that moment too, but like really, really strong. Like Pollen had a really strong evaluation, I think.
yes.
Very excited to see Pollen post training grounds using this against other attributes.
Okay, Rowan.
We love Rowan.
Let's
Rowan's
see.
my favorite now.
Oh, Rowan.
Rowan's got 10 for 10.
The accent. I can't with the accent.
Yeah.
I love it. So good.
I love the trope of like the cute, adorable, innocent little girl that just completely fucks people up with no remorse. That is
Yes.
just, oh
Tigers,
my god.
It surprises me so much that you would love that.
I know. It's very off-brand for me. But
So we should talk about her evaluation because she basically confessed to murdering people.
It's the one that's lit up right there. The one that's unread.
In
yeah,
her,
not
wow.
even confessed to murdering somebody. Murdered like a little boy.
No, multiple
Yeah.
people. She said that he was not alone. That she
Yes.
murdered
Oh my
a number of
gosh.
people. Yeah.
I love her.
Let me. Oh yeah, here.
And then
here's
she would just smile.
audio.
She would just smile when
Okay.
she saw their families like mourning in the streets.
Seneca, the picture that you posted after that, I completely lost my mind.
She says, "But you have to do what it takes to survive. I guess you could say I had my own little version of the games that year,
Ooh.
because that was far from the only time that happened. And when those families would cry in the market asking where their sons and daughters went, there's not a soul alive
Besides me.
besides me that knows what happened out in that field. Not my mama, not Taro, and especially not Pollen. So this broke
Woo.
me all over again. Because Pollen wrote that letter to Rowan, making us think that Rowan was like this sweet little angel that needed protecting. And now Rowan is basically being like, yeah, Pollen doesn't know about me.
Well, my favorite part is I am pretty sure that, like, out of character, not Jenna, as the player of Pollen, does not know this.
Oh yeah, I don't think so either. Yeah.
Which is going to make it so fun when they get the chance to read back.
Yeah, totally. And when
Holy
Rowan just
shit.
goes fucking ham. And also like, can we talk about like the family resemblance? Like you believe, like one believes that these two are related.
Yes.
My favorite part is that I don't, Cinna, I think you made your portrait after me, but I did not see Rowan's portrait at all when I made that one.
Wow.
They're actually not related. They're not sisters. Pollen was together with Rowan's brother.
That's right. That's what it
That's
was.
the connection.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, they basically are related. I mean, look at them. But yeah, that's I forgot about that the tarot.
We
triangle.
believe they're from the same district.
Yeah.
How's that?
I think that there's room, by the way, government officials. I think there's room for us to play with that tarot storyline. Just FYI.
Oh no, that sounds diabolical.
Not necessarily.
I love it.
Thanks, I hate it. Okay, so what's next? We got two more. Ash. We haven't heard much from Ash.
Ash is doing something interesting that I don't know how we're going to handle mechanically. She has mentioned several times that she is a changeling and wants to somehow leverage the ability to transform into other tributes. Problem is, we're playing on Discord, and when you post messages, they show up under your username. So even if she tries to become another tribute using illusion magic,
I mean, we have to be able to some degree, just like a traditional D&D campaign, enforce like not metagaming, right? And so like I think it's a perfectly valid thing to like intervene if the player doesn't naturally take the hint that they can't just roll to see if this is the same person just because they see a different screen name.
So
actually, if I may make a suggestion, if we use something like Tupperbot, then that will allow us to like mask who is using like who like the real character is.
What is it called?
Because Tupperbot.
Okay, Dan, you got that?
Tupperbot?
Tupperbot with a T. Because essentially what one can do is like take the profile picture and um, basically like a macro that will indicate whether or not to activate the bot, and then it'll just like show as a character talking rather than the
That's cool.
It
actual
shows up
person
as a
who said it.
it shows up as a bot though, so people will still know that it's Ash saying something.
Well, if you made everyone use it.
Yeah, if that was like the default way of like responding in RP, like for
Well,
pretty much everything.
why don't we just say that we'll look into it? Like, there's no need for us to. Yeah, we'll look into the viability of that because that's a good alternative. It's a good option. It's one that we didn't have before.
I
So
just thought I would bring it up.
Ash's idea is really interesting, and I want to see how that pans out, but we have to figure out how to make it
Yeah.
work for her.
But worst case scenario, again, I think that it's a perfectly valid thing if like say she matched as someone else starts talking to someone and they immediately say like I'd like to roll insight. You'd be like, why are you rolling insight? Like
Yeah.
this person was just said that they'd be right back. Like why would you assume that it's someone else?
Right, and we have said that deception, insight, persuasion, and intimidation are not going to be things you can roll against each other in this. So
Cool. All right, last one. Our little firecracker. Isn't he like an older man?
yes.
Yeah, I love that.
Well, he's a gnome, and it could be that that's like his facial hair is from that, but
Well,
he
it's not
does
that.
seem to be.
In the interview, he used a cane, so I kind of assumed that he was older.
Okay.
But it could be
Yeah.
that was just for show. He also, by the way, you didn't see this snake, but in the Barty when I walked in, one of the first things I wore like a suit that had sort of like little feathers that the multicolored feathers that kind of flowed when I move. And the first thing he did was walk up to me and try to snatch one. He's got like energy, and I'm into it. I like it.
Yeah, he's definitely like brings a unique character to the games that isn't being done in any of the other tributes. I think in some ways that will work to his favor because whether people like him or not, they can still pick him out of a crowd, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, he hasn't been the most like aggressive with trying to get alliances is the thing. Neither of the District 12 characters have. They've been a little more reserved. So I'm not super hopeful for either of them in terms of like lasting a long time. But Ian's character has been really fun to watch. And he's got some supporters too. He's got 3 votes for 12.
Ian picked one of the either the horse or the bird, right? The token.
I don't remember.
Ian picked horse.
So Ian's in
Hans.
Team Hans with part of the Power Alliance, so that does not play to his favor.
Nope, that's not good.
Ash chose the snake. Again, I'll stop saying things and making implications, but
yeah.
very, very interesting implications of those token choices.
Right.
Ash,
yeah.
Top 4 easy.
What'd you say?
Ash makes top 4 easy.
Why so? What's your argument? Pitch us.
Because I made the prediction and my credentials are on the line.
I see. So the universe has said that Ash must make the top 4.
Yes, it wouldn't shock me. I mean, she could definitely come from behind.
She's got.
Or out of.
Go ahead. Okay, I'm just saying that she's got like a fierce mentality, sort of like Lana. It's just that Lana is a little more active in the social game. It's like the two are kind of similar, but Lana has made more connections, and so I'm just not as much as she can. But I'm just not convinced that Ash has the social game support behind the game that she's playing. But I mean, who knows, right? Like we're making assumptions about what things are going to be important going into the Hunger Games, but like we have no idea. We don't really. It may be that like we get another lane that wins.
Yep.
Well, this has been real. Does anyone have any kind of closing statements about what's happened in the last what? How long has it been now? Like 4 days, 5 days? I saw someone unmute. Go for it.
Can I recap? Okay. Just want to loop all the way back to my Greek tragedy thing. It was a huge mistake just now to say makes it to the top 4, because now you're inviting everybody's wrath trying to keep that from happening. Don't get me wrong, it'll still happen, Greek tragedy and all, but we'll work against it.
I think
This was very enlightening and very confusing since I haven't been reading as much as I should.
Oh, that's okay. I mean,
perhaps people working against it is what puts her in the top 4.
That is exactly how Greek tragedy works. Love it.
I think that one thing that we're finding, this whole project is really growing beyond us, and it's got its own culture and it's got its own momentum, and so we're like along for the ride as well. And one thing, okay, I guess we're gonna close that stream. One thing that I've noticed is that there are certainly a lot of channels and there's a lot of reading, and that I think that we as viewers are having to like relearn how to watch this game, because in season 1 it wasn't so hard to keep abreast of what was going on, and I read every single message every single channel, but in season 2 I just haven't been able to do that. And to some degree I think that we have to be comfortable with that, and we just read where we're having fun reading, and I think that's to some degree okay, because at the end of the day this whole project really is just like a showcase, a celebration of role playing. And so, if there's too much, it's fine. Like, we can go back and read it if we want. Well, thank y'all for joining us. I know it went long. We promised 1 hour. It is almost 2. But we will work on that next time. This was a lot of fun. I love that we had so many people talking and chat today. That was really fun. Love to get y'all's perspective on things. We have to stream 7 times in the first month so we can get syndicated. And also we want to. So probably sometime, I'm thinking next weekend or this coming weekend. I know that Tarhay had specifically requested that. So maybe during the day, sometime during the weekend is what we'll shoot for next. Okay, much love, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next weekend, probably. And thank you again, audience member 1, for joining us today.
Betting update soon.
Ooh,
I'm
betting
real.
update. Get ready for that in the coming days. Okay.
Yes.
Bye, everyone.